How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back. So I'm really excited to show off another 4 Criterion titles. I actually was going to do this video in my car today, and it was just way too hot outside to do it during the day, so I decided to just come home and show it off here. But this first title was actually one I picked up a while back in another haul, and it's just one I've never shown on my channel. But if you watched Mega Mike the Movie Man's pregame Criterion video that we did, like live stream we did on June 28th, I showed it off then. But so I decided to finally debut it on my channel tonight because I really like this movie. Kicking it off here from 1971, this is spine number 827, and the movie is McCabe and Mrs. Miller. This one's actually available on 4K. It's from director Robert Altman. I thought this movie was outstanding. It's considered to be like a anti-Western sort of. If you know Robert Altman, he was kind of he wasn't like into traditional Westerns, even though he did some television for some Westerns back in the day. But he says he was never really a fan of John Ford, which is really kind of surprising because he's a huge fan of Kurosawa, which Kurosawa is a huge fan of John Ford. So very strange there. But this one's starring Warren Beatty and has Julie Christie. And I thought they were really outstanding in this movie. And it has a theme song from Leonard Cohen, which is really interesting. It's called "The Stranger Song," and it really kind of sets the tone for the movie. And this movie is it's kind of dark, and there's a lot of humor in it as well. But it goes all over the place, and you can kind of see things kind of being set up as you watch the movie, and you kind of know that this may not necessarily be it like a Hollywood movie necessarily. Robert Altman was definitely not that kind of that director. He was within the Criterion collection. He did the movie Nashville, which is actually out of print now through Criterion, but you can get that through like Paramount. And I actually bought that on eBay. Paid a little bit extra for it, but I really wanted it in the Criterion collection. He also did like The Player, and he did Shortcuts. He's done some different movies, and it has kind of an interesting take on movies. I think he passed away years ago, but I thought he was a interesting director, especially if you saw the movie MASH. Okay, so this next title is actually one I've wanted to see for quite a while. This is one that's released in 1996, spine number 1220, so it's one of the really new ones, and the movie is Bound. This is from the directing team, the Wachowskis, the same team that brought you The Matrix in 1999. And it's like I said, it's one I've wanted to see quite a while, but it's starring Jennifer Tilly as Gina Gershon, also as Joe Pantoliano. If you watch the trailer for this movie, they pronounce his name way different. He was obviously, he's been in so many great movies. He was in The Matrix. He was in Risky Business, which is going to be brought into the collection here in like a couple weeks. But like I said, I watched this movie tonight, and I looked at all the special features on this. This movie is definitely loaded with special features. You can get this one in 4K, just like McCabe and Mrs. Miller is also available in 4K. But I thought it was really interesting. If you look at Criterion.com, it tells you about the special features, but they kind of make it sound like the commentary for this is they make it sound like it's new, even though this commentary was actually recorded in 1997. So that was one thing I was kind of curious about. Was it something from now or something way back then? Because I think this has been on Blu-ray before, but for years I know it was on DVD, and I just never bothered to see it. But I'm glad I finally did because I actually enjoyed it tonight. Okay, so this third title is actually one that a lot of people have recommended to me for the last couple years now. It's a really old film. It's from 1941. It's a spine number 214. And the movie is All That Money Can Buy. And it also has another title called The Devil and Daniel Webster. So this is one that I have no idea exactly what this movie is about. I think it's sort of like a horror movie or like a scary movie. But I've heard a lot of people say, get this movie, buy it. A lot of people have said yes, they loved it, and so they told me to check it out. So it's from director William looks like Diet Turley. And I looked at all the cast members in this. I didn't recognize any of them, so I didn't really bother to write their names down because it's such an older film. But I love this, the cover to it. You'll see the poster. I put all the posters kind of on my left here. So I thought that this is a really kind of a dark, poster. I think it's one of the better posters that Criterion has released, and I can't wait to check this one out. Okay, so there's four titles. Actually, one that the spine number is not that far off from the last movie I talked about, which, that wasn't planned at all. But this is from 1952. The spine number 221, and the movie is Akiru. This is from iconic director Akira Kurosawa. He's done so many movies I've seen the last couple of years that I've really liked. The star of this movie is Takashi Shimura. If you've seen from Kurosawa, he was in like Rashomon. He was also in Seven Samurai, and he was in the original Godzilla. So it's a face that you'll definitely recognize. In this movie, actually, they did a remake in 2022. And the movie's called Living. And it's starring Bill Nighy. And if you know Nighy, he was in like Shaun of the Dead and Underworld, and you've seen him in a lot of movies. And I think he got like an Oscar nomination for that role. So I liked that movie a lot. So then I expect this movie. It sounds like the storyline is very similar. So I can't wait to really check this one out. Okay, so I appreciate everybody watching this video tonight. I actually probably will do like one more Criterion haul before the end of the month. Like I said, the Criterion sale goes through July 28th. But there's one big title on July 23rd I want to get, and there's probably maybe a couple more titles I want to pick up as well. And also I may do like at least put some photos or some video up of there's another YouTuber that lives in Indiana, and we may meet up at the Greenwood, the Greenwood Barnes and Noble later on, like around the 20th or 21st or so of this month. So I don't totally know that for sure. So I don't really want to mention the channel's name or the person's name just yet because it hasn't happened yet. So, but I'm excited to do that. So I may pick up like a title here or there. I think that today I actually I went to like 3 different Barnes and Noble locations and picked up a title at each place because one place had a movie I wanted, and the next one had one, and there was actually a Barnes and Noble. The third place I went to was actually one Barnes and Noble that's where they did like renovation like a couple years ago, and they had actually gotten rid of all their Criterions until just recently. They have one little section of movies, and the Criterions like were in like maybe 3 or 4 rows, but it's really small. But they had the movie Bound. That's when I picked that up there. So I was fortunate to check that out when I looked it up on. If you look on BarnesandNoble.com, you can order movies through there and have them shipped to you, or you can pick them up at the store. So I looked at that. The list of different stores, and I saw that they had Bound at that location because of like I said, the place I was at that the second place I went to didn't have it, so I decided just to drive over to Noblesville, Indiana, and just pick up pick up Bound. So I'm glad I did, and like I said, I watched it tonight. So, but please, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing that, and please put a thumbs up on this video. It definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm. And everybody have a great one.